Last open win. He's even won a classic.
So he's hit for the cycle.
He's hit for the cycle. Well, he hasn't won an invitational yet.
Oh, that one's a little harder to do.
We've got five.
Okay.
5 bases total. So hasn't quite hit for the Star City cycle.
Sure. To me, including an invitational is like including a grand slam in the cycle. No, the home run doesn't have to be a grand slam.
Why not?
You also need a walk and
So Chihoy has actually come in second in the invitation. He came that close.
Second place? I knew he had a top 8. I didn't know he made the finals.
He came that close to the entire cycle. And here we are.
The quintuple crown.
Craig started off with an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Chihoy tragic slips that and then follows up with a Doomed Traveler.
Wow, no plays on 2 or 3 from the Domri Naya deck. Not where you want to be. I mean, looking down the deck list, the deck is basically all 3s or less. There's Thundermaws, 2 Hellriders, and a Rampager above 3.
And it's called the Domri Naya deck. That's what you want to hit on turn 3.
Looks like he has a lot of lands and a couple dragons.
So there's a Hellrider, not quite a dragon, but it's breathing.
It's a ground
Fire.
dragon. It's a baby ground Rorix.
And Chihoy's just going to take the 4.
Yeah, he could block and sack the Doomed Traveler, save 3.
Well, he could sack the Doomed Traveler, pro red, and then double block the Hellrider.
He could also do that.
But he wants to keep that Doomed Traveler around because much more value with that in play if you get something like a Zathra
Necromancer or Blood Artist. Actually, I don't know if he's taking the damage yet because he's thinking.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to block.
Go for that play.
I think either play is fine. It just depends on what your hand is. If your hand is like a Tragic Slip and a Blood Artist or whatever, then it's fine to take it. But if your hand is just like some more creatures, like another Doom Traveler and a Lingering Souls or whatever, well, Chihoy doesn't have Lingering Souls, but like Gather the Townsfolk or whatever, then obviously you want to trade off. Looks like he has neither, just some lands. So, yeah, I guess that's fine.
Both players possibly flooding a little here, but Craig gonna play a 5th land and then Thundermaw. Yeah, there it is.
Big Daddy Thundermaw. They say that Mana Screw beats Mana Flood every time, but what happens when both players are flooding? The guy with the Thundermaw wins?
Then the state of Colorado loses.
And politically incorrect jokes for 500. So, still no plays from Chihoy, which is like pretty awkward when you're trying to, when you have a Cartel Aristocrat that you want to protect. And Smiter.
More fat for Craig. Loxodon Smiter.
This is not how Chihoy envisioned this matchup playing out, and he draws another land for the turn. That might just be game. I don't know if that's a recoverable position, especially when you don't have Lingering Souls in your deck. When you have Lingering Souls, you can recover from some pretty desperate situations, but without Lingering Souls, you lose a lot of that comeback potential.
Yeah, especially Lingering Souls with a Blood Artist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you would want to be.
Exactly.
But yeah, here, forced to chump block the Loxodon Smiter. Doesn't even have another creature to give protection.
Yep,
Takes
so
5 in the air.
That does turn on his Tragic Slip, which I think I saw. So it looks like he's going to slip the Dragon end step. Scavenging Ooze is going to be tough to beat.
Didn't even recognize that version. That is the M14 Buy a Box
Buy a
promo?
Box promo, I think, yeah. And we're done here.
Coops it up. So Chihoy Yim falls behind 1 game to Craig Harkins. Craig with a very top-heavy hand.
Yeah, very mediocre draw, but
no 3 play, but he had the Hellrider followed by Thundermaw, Hellkite, and then a Smiter.
Yeah, that's
So he got
usually not enough, but it was definitely enough against Chihoy's draw. Both draws were fairly lackluster, but Chihoy's was definitely worse. And Chihoy's deck is more prone to that type of thing because it needs to draw a critical mass of specific types of cards that interact in a dynamic way. Whereas Craig Harkins, he could just draw 1 spell and it's a Thundermaw Hellkite and he just kills you with it because it's a giant dude,
5/5 flying.
Yeah,
ace.
exactly. Chihoi doesn't really have any cards like that. I mean, Falcon Wrath Aristocrat's kind of like that, but you do need... Most of the cards in Chihoi's deck need other cards to work, whereas almost all the cards in Craig Harkin's deck just are good on their own.
So if you're both flooding, then the deck with the bigger impact individual spells is going to come out on top, as we saw there.
Exactly.
Because the black-white splash red humans deck thrives a little bit more on its synergy.
Yep.
So Craig Harkins takes game 1. Chihoi Yim, 1 invitational short of the big cycle.
1 match short. How brutal is that?
Yeah. That's like you hit it to the warning track.
Yeah.
And the guy jumps and does like a web gem to catch it.
Do you think it keeps him up at night?
No.
I bet it does.
Come on.
Come on, man.
If it does, well, he's got some more chances.
Yes, he does.
We got one coming up, actually. Next
Indianapolis.
October. I'll be there. I'm actually in the booth. I'm very
You're in the booth
excited
for that?
for an invitational.
That is awesome.
With Joey Pasco, Adrian Sullivan. I hope to see you there battling.
I will be there, but my track record in invitationals is not too good as of late.
Indianapolis, Indiana, October 25th or 27th. Maybe you can catch Chihoi's home run at the warning track.
You could be that guy.
Stop him yet again from finishing the big cycle.
And a cool addition to the Star City Games Invitational that started like 2 invitationals ago that's really, really awesome, I like a lot, is if you win it, they make a token of you.
Yeah, we've seen...
That's awesome. It's such a cool
the Jerry
prize.
Thompson token.
Yep, the Merit Lage 2020 Indestructible, Flying Indestructible.
And it's just, that token has just rotated out. They've brought the new one in, Eric Smith.
Eric Smith, 1/1 Goblin, edging in on Cedric Phillips' turf.
Sure. But a nice tribute as well from Eric Smith to a friend of his that passed away, is featured in the background of his token art.
That's awesome. I did not know that story. That is very nice.
So that's a great thing you can do with that win, is not only can you be featured in it, but you can have some kind of tribute to somebody.
That is very cool. So,
right.
Back to this match, we see players sideboarding, looking at the Naya sideboard. There's no direct hate effect. There's no bonfire or electricity or anything like that. It's more generalized hate. Yeah, I've seen some electriceries in my day, man. It's more generalized hate. Like Blasphemous Act is probably okay. Warleader's Helix is probably okay. Chandra Pyromaster, I didn't see that. That's probably like the semi-targeted hate that is likely coming in. And then 1 Rest in Peace. Also, Rest in Peace is like deceptively just like very good against these
Shuts
decks.
down Blood Artists.
Yeah, and Doom Traveler and Zathra Necromancer and Tragic Slip.
Shuts down everything.
And Brimstone Volley.
Oh my
In
goodness.
Chihoi Yim's version, and Lingering Souls in the other version.
Right.
So yeah,
Craig is probably expecting Lingering Souls from what he saw.
Yes.
So
Rest in Peace is very, very good in this matchup. But he only has 1 copy, so we'll have to see if that comes up, or if he even boarded it in. Not a lot of people realize how good it is against these decks.
All right, here we go. Chihoi Yim.
Looks like the players tanking on their mulligans. Looks like Craig is working with a Sun Petal Grove 1 land hand on the draw. He's got to shift that back.
Yeah, those 1 land hands, buddy lands are not great.
Yeah, especially with the buddy lands, especially on the draw. There was a great quote from, God, I always remember who it was, from the Pro Tour coverage, where he was talking about like the Guildgate draws, you know, where you have Guildgates instead of basics. He's like, I can stand going, like, I like going first, and I can stand going second, but it's really hard to go third. And that's what those buddy land draws feel like on the draw.
So last round we talked about Read the Bones, whether it was better than Sign in Blood.
Yes.
What I really like about it is that it costs 3 instead of 2. And you're like, why is that?
Why would you like that?
Because when it costs 2, it's a trap. When you have these spells, you're like, oh, well, I have 2 lands and a Sign in Blood. I can draw myself out of this. And then you draw blanks, you're like, this was actually a terrible hand.
Don't pretend like you're not going to keep 2 lands, read the bones.
Because I'll draw 3rd land.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess I'd keep those hands all the time in Ravnica block limited, 2-land Cluestone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd never draw out of
Exactly.
it. Terrible.
The Cluestone curse strikes again.
Both players start off with 1-drops, Shihoy with a Doom Traveler, Craig with an Arbor Elf, and of course, yes, I would like to trade Doom Traveler for Arbor Elf.
This
So
is
he attacks.
a nice little curve from Shihoy.
Cartel Aristocrat. Off of a Cavern of Souls, which most likely naming humans and not Advisor.
Advisor. I've named Advisor a couple times. You get Obsidat and Cartel.
Maybe he would name Advisor then. He does have 2 Obsidats he could have brought in from the board. And Domri Raid.
The deck's namesake misses on the first one. Much like my Augur Bolas, my Domri Raids read
Never.
+1, look at the top card of your library.
Oh, it's like a Sphinx.
Yeah, exactly. Sphinx of Dwar Isle for 3 mana.
Domri Raid right now ranking as one of the more problematic cards in terms of judge-player interactions.
In what way?
When you do the +1 and you see a creature, players put it into their hand
without revealing it.
Which can
That's
either
pretty exploitable.
either be classified as a drawing extra cards or a game rule violation for hidden information.
Sure.
Upgrade to a game loss either way. Make sure you reveal off your Domri Raids.
Lessons from the judge in the booth. So we got Gather the Townsfolk, Doom Traveler, off of a second cavern, this one naming Vampire. Looking forward to that Falconwrath Aristocrat. And all of a sudden, Chihoi's board is full of a bunch of little dudes, and Craig is gotta find an answer. He does have a Chandra, which is like an answer. Like, it's the card that he wants in such situations, but he's a little too far behind right now to be able to use that.
But if he establishes a board with 2 Planeswalkers,
yeah, it does kind of put Chihoy to the test if he were able to do that. But I think he's just going to develop his board a little so that he can protect the Chandra, because leaving her around is going to be really strong.
so Voice of Resurgence and a Scavenging Ooze. That's
Greg
not
Harkins
bad.
is like, hey, nice 1/1s. Here's some 2/2s. Beat that. And
How do you beat that? Well, you could always...
go to the skies. You can take out one of them and start alphaing through. Your Cartel can still attack.
Yeah, he can pro-green his Cartel Aristocrat and at least take care of the Domri Raid.
Yeah.
And by naming the Vampire with the second Cavern of Souls, most likely representing Falconwrath Aristocrat.
Yeah. He also just doesn't have a black source, so it doesn't
So-
necessarily show that he has the Falconwrath in hand.
Also, yeah, Blood Artist.
Yes. He could also be looking to cast Blood Artist. He could just be looking forward to, like, you know, a top deck or something, because what else is he going to name with his Cavern? He has everything he needs.
But it's a weird situation not having the natural black mana. You can't even cast a Tragic Slip in this situation.
Yeah, which is quite unfortunate, since being able to take out one of Craig's blockers would be quite good. Looks like Chihoi's thinking about making a 1/1 Spirit on end step. I was trying to figure out what phase of the game we were in, but it looks like Chihoi's taking pretty hard, trying to pace out the entire game and figure out if the 1 point's going to matter in the race. He decides against it, draws for the turn. And what now? Presumably you have to kill Domri, right? With the Cartel. But what else are you doing?
He's got a Cavern of Souls naming humans and the second one naming vampires.
And he just drew Blood Crypt, played it untapped, so he's got either a 4-drop or a
Black
Tragic
spell,
Slip.
yeah. So here we go. He's counting up. How many cards in hand? 3. Bring in the Floreses.
Looks like he's going to eat a Flores.
So not the Doom Traveler. Sacrifices.
That's a little weird. Maybe he's playing around Bonfire that, quote, should be in Craig's deck, but isn't.
He could also not want to put additional creature cards in the graveyard for future scavenging oozes.
Also a consideration, yeah. Could be a couple things at work here, but does look like the cartel is going to take down the Domri raid. Just a matter of whether Chihoya wants to sacrifice one of his creatures for 2 damage on Craig's dome. And he decides he does want to. That is aggressive.
And Craig's going to get his Voice of Resurgence to block a Doom Traveler. Here comes 1/1 Spirit token. Cartel Aristocrat attack the Domri raid.
So Domri down. Craig goes to 13. And Chihoy's left with 1 card in hand. Let's get Tom Martell in there.
Tom Martell alongside Mike Flores.
An unlikely duo.
5 mana. So that was the other consideration there for not sacrificing the Doom Traveler up front. Is
yes.
The 1-point ping from the Thundermaw Hellkite takes out flyers.
That is a legitimate concern.
And all of a sudden this game might be turning. Thundermaw Hellkite and a Voice of Resurgence. Craig was thinking about whether he wants to attack with both here and just take a big 7-point chunk out of Chihoy Yim's life total, and he does.
Yeah. All of these decks that play this Thundermaw card, Thundermaw is their best card.
The game just suddenly turns.
Yeah, it's pretty insane how you can just like dig your foot in and turn the corner so easily for just 5 mana.
You like that turn. Turn the corner.
Yeah, turn the corner. It's an important like magic principle or piece of magic theory to be able to turn the corner.
Do you know where it comes from?
No. Do you?
I mean, it's either going to be baseball or track and field, right?
Probably baseball.
Baseball, like when you go past third base, like turning the corner to try to go for home.
Yeah.
I think it could be track and field because like the 200-meter dash.
They don't really have corners so much as like rounded edges.
Yeah.
But in magic terms, it just means like you're sort of defending or at parity for a while, and then you reach a point where either you're stabilized as a control deck, or you're breaking serve, to use another sports term, into the aggressive, into the aggressor role, and that's what turning the corner is you're basically instead of like trying to trade resources and play this interactive game, now the goal has become to kill the opponent, and that's like what you're accomplishing very quickly.
All right, well, I gotta know. So if you're watching us right now, tweet at us with the hashtag SCGATL if you can tell me what turn the corner, where that phrase comes from.
What's the etymology of the phrase turn the corner?
Because we've already gotten some information here.
I bet it's baseball.
Eric Peacock at Who Did the Thing tweeted us and said the Scavenging Ooze is actually from the Duels 2014 promo from Steam. So that was the same as the Titan promos we saw a couple of years ago. It was not the M14 buy a box.
What was the M14 buy a box?
I do not know.
Some more stuff that we don't know.
There's too many promos.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
I recognize most of them, but finding out where they actually came from.
Yeah, I know. I generally know what card it is, but I don't know where the promo is from. I am not a promo scientist. I am willing to admit that.
So Chihoi fires back here, attacks for 4, and says, let's race. Very surprising.
Yeah, I mean, the token stack doesn't really have a way to go long against a Thundermaw, so you're basically stuck in like chump mode. Like you can't trade, really,
Right.
or like race it without jumping it. So you're stuck in this like unfavorable race position as your only way to win. It's pretty unfortunate, but it's really your only avenue of victory.
He's probably going to have to eat that Doom Traveler
Yeah.
to get a flying blocker. Craig plays Chandra Pyromaster. He's been sandbagging that for a while. We've known about it. Chihoi has to read the card.
We got a reader, boys.
Pin
Wow,
your-
that was not the correct target. He's gonna have to sacrifice that to make a flyer to chump the Thundermaw anyway. Much better off just killing the 1/1.
So let's get Chandra Pyromaster up here on the screen because it's got an ability here. He's using that +1 ability, deal 1 damage to target creature, or sorry, to
target player and 1 damage to target creature. So it's 2 different targets. So if you invalidate the creature target, you still take damage. Just like Searing Blaze in that regard. And also it falters that creature, but that is not mattering in this case since Craig is using it to kill 1/1s.
But you think he should have probably pinged the Mike Flores, the human token,
Yeah.
because Chihoi had to sacrifice the Doom Traveler anyway to make this 1/1 flying blocker to chump block the Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah, I mean, it was really his only play. It was like pretty forced. So basically, Craig just like let him have a 1/1 for free.
Right, and
Unlikely to matter
Chihoi's-
that much, but
Chihoi is actually at 8 life here from the ping, and then goes down another 3 points to 5.
Brimstone Volley.
To the
So
dome.
now he's drawing to Falcon Wrath or Brimstone.
Or a Blood Artist.
Does Blood Artist do it?
1, 2, because he can attack for 3.
Ooh, Craig wanted to use the
Right,
voice trigger, but it looks like he missed it, or at least Chihoi is saying he missed it. It's like
And
end
that's
step.
going to depend a lot on whether Craig said go at this point.
Yeah, it looked like Chihoi was like, all right, end step Brimstone Volley you, and Craig's like, all right, and like took damage, and then as Chihoi started to untap, he will, like, the fact that Craig took the damage
Right.
indicates
so,
that the
so Craig would have
Brimstone
already
Volley is
said
resolved.
go,
Yeah.
and then Chihoi would have said.
Oh, does that do it?
Yeah, 3 points, and then sacrifice.
Wow. So if he got, he could have done multiple things differently. If he had gotten the voice trigger, or if he had targeted the correct creature with Chandra, he wins that game.
Ooh, yeah.
That's brutal. Lose focus for a second, man. Think you got a game in the bag, and something like that happens. That is unreal, and it looks like we were going to game 3. See, I would have lost that game, because in spots like that, I just let my opponent have the trigger.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you know it means the game.
Yeah, like, I mean, he hadn't seen the Blood Artist when he did it.
Sure.
So he's, like, still drawing to...
But if he gets
He's still drawing to a 7-outer instead of an 11-outer.
So you would be okay. So
I've lost many games in very similar spots because I've let them have the trigger.
So we believe the sequence was Craig says go after the attack. Chihoi says
goes,
end of turn.
Volley you.
Volley you. Craig says okay, I take 5.
Yeah, he marked 5 off of his life pad. Chihoi began to untap, and then Craig said, wait, I want my voice token.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a judge, it's possible that there's an out of order sequence there. If he says okay, I take 5 and get a token. If he does it kind of in
Yeah.
sequence.
If it's sort of like one motion, sort of, you
Yeah.
know, you can allow it, but it seemed pretty clear cut there that he missed it. But yeah, like I would have lost that game because I would have just let him have it.
No matter what the sequence, you would have said, "Oh yeah, of course."
Yeah, I think I've called people on triggers like twice, and it was like very desperate times. It was like when I was
or if it's just completely missed, and you're both like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
we had forgotten that.
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like if it's like a turn later
Sure.
that he missed something that like made my attack not work, it's just like there's nothing we can do, man. Like sorry. But in a situation like that, I just give it to him every time. I don't know. I don't like winning like that. Maybe that's just me. I think
It's also, we've played with triggers this way for such a long time.
Yeah.
For so many years.
Yeah.
Where they had to happen.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
now we're in this different
I don't like
world.
I don't like the new rules at all, and so I basically just like don't play by them. I just play by the old rules. Like if you had seen what I've seen, like if you've like flown to Pro Tours that you've tested for weeks for, and practice your little heart out, and you get to the tournament and you're playing for day 2 or whatever, and somebody just like attacks for lethal but like miscounts and thinks that they're too short, and you have to make them kill you because that's the way the rules work. Like I've done that. That's happened to me multiple times. Like I've gone to Pro Tours and had to help my opponent kill me because that's the way the rules worked. Like me calling some guy in the Swiss of a Star City Games Open is like, I'm not gonna do that,
Sure. So we are getting some good information from you guys on Twitter. Thanks very much for joining the conversation at SCGATL. Several people have written in to say that the M14 Buy a Box promo was Ratchet Bomb.
Oh, I know that the promo Ratchet Bomb.
Okay. And Blake Nemi says that turn the corner comes from the early 1800s and refers to rounding the final turn in a race. Now I wonder if that means...
Wait, what?
Comes from the early 1800s and refers to rounding the final turn in a race. But I'm wondering if that means a human foot race or, horse race,
and buggy,
dog race.
Yeah.
And several people have also said that even with the Voice of Resurgence trigger, Chihoi could have won because he could sack the token to give his Cartel Aristocrat pro white or green.
Oh, and then sack the Blood Artist. Yeah, of course.
And then sack the Blood Artist. So it was the combination of the two errors.
Yeah.
Of missing the trigger and not killing the human.
Yeah, he needed to do both correct.
Because by trying to kill the Doomed Traveler, he kind of wasted 1 point of damage.
Yeah. So, Craig Harkins back on the play here, leads with an Arbor Elf, and Chihoi with a Champion of the Parish. This is one of the scarier cards.
We haven't seen this yet from Chihoi.
Yeah. This is one of the scarier cards for anyone, but especially for the aggro decks, because if it can get out of burn range quickly, which it can, then it's going to be pretty hard for the aggro deck to attack through at all. Wow, turn 2 Domri is actually huge. And he hits on Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Not great, but it's a free card draw. It gets him one.
Yeah, not going to say no to a free card.
Now
Does he have the Gather follow?
Gather the Floreses.
I feel like he would have slammed it if he had it. Doesn't look like he has it. He's got a Slayer's Stronghold, a Zathrid Necromancer, a couple other cards. Hard to see.
Incidentally, we do have a Michael J. Flores playing in today's Standard Open here in Atlanta.
It's not that Michael J. Flores, but it's another Michael J. Flores.
And apparently this gentleman has played in other tournaments where people have looked at the standings and said, oh, look, because same middle initial as the known writer.
All right, Doomed Traveler, pump the Champion, attack the Domri. Down to 2, Blood Crypt untaps, slip your Arbor Elf. That's a pretty good turn.
Not bad.
I like how Craig Harkins, even though he doesn't have bonfires in his deck, keeps drawing Miracle style.
Perhaps he's played with Bonfire in the past.
Well, he knows that, I'm sure he knows that, seeing a lot of the cards that he's playing, most people would assume that he has Bonfire in his deck.
Okay. A very subtle thing there.
Yes.
So I think in the future, even when I'm playing...
If I were Chihoy, I would certainly be playing around Bonfire.
+1 Zadamri reveals a voice of Resurgence.
That's not bad. He's got a lot of options this turn. He can go like Pilgrim Voice or Pilgrim Mortars. Looks like he's going Pilgrim Voice. That's a pretty good turn.
Chihoy Yim has established champion of the parish. And with the Cavern of Souls naming human and a blood crypt, he could still have a Gather the Townsfolk somewhere lurking in his hand, waiting for a natural white source.
Which he did draw this turn, but I think this turn is going to be Zathrid Necromancer, if I saw his hand right.
Another strong human card.
Yes. Quite
but
strong.
notably, the 2/2 zombie tokens enter the battlefield tapped.
It's a weird addendum to Routling Reanimator.
More flavorful, though. The zombies, they're a little slow crawling
Yes.
out of the grave.
I feel like this might be a missed attack from the Doom Traveler. But sure.
So Chihoy pumped up his champion and attacked Domri Raid, and Craig
Chumped it with a voice. Protect the Dahmer Raid.
chumped it with a voice and kept his Avacyn's Pilgrim around. You know, that champion's going to keep getting bigger. Why not trade for it right there?
Well, like, if he has, like,
If he has
a
Thunder
Boros
Moss,
Reckoner, or, no, I'm thinking something to fight the champion, then that's a better way to play it. Like, it looks like he actually does have Reckoner, which I'm shocked that he +1, because, like, Reckoner, fight with Domri, and then redirect that damage to the Doom Traveler, or some sequence like that is actually pretty insane. Instead, he's opening himself up to getting sort of combo attacks from Chihoy if he leaves that, lets him untap with that Necromancer. Oh, this might be a removal spell, Amizium Mortars. Looks like it is. Yeah, sure enough. Alright, that makes sense. Although now that champion is going to grow a little more and going to be a little harder to fight. Theoretically, at least.
So now we see the first appearance this match of the 2/2 zombie Sam Black token. And it does enter the battlefield tapped, so Craig is going to attack with his now 3/3 elemental token from the previous Voice of Resurgence.
Chihoy thinking about jumping here, getting a flyer down, which he can Slayer's Stronghold to knock the Domri down to 1. It seems like a good sequence. I don't know what his other card in hand is besides the white land, but theoretically that's good because being able to turn off the Domri fight and then the next turn you're threatening to kill the Domri is pretty important. You need to protect your champion and you don't want to get blown out by a Boros Reckoner, like wiping out all your dudes.
That's Slayer's Stronghold right there. Tap, white, red, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains vigilance and haste until end of turn. Even with the 1/1 flyer token, it would not quite be enough.
No, but it would knock it down below fighting range, which is pretty much all you really want. Looks like he chooses not to chump, untaps, and draws, I think, another champion of the Paris there. So at least he gets another counter on the champion in play.
Champions chaining into champions.
Yes. And then he can actually play the white source and attack. And he has a pretty profitable attack with the Slayer's Stronghold up.
So Cavern of Souls for champion of the parish. Pump up the original champion to a 4/4. Play his Godless Shrine. Activate Slayer's Stronghold.
No, I don't think you activate at all. I think you just send. And then if he puts the voice on the Doom Traveler, you can force them to trade. And if he tries to chump the champion with the voice, then you pump something else and kill the Domri Raid. Phase 1 complete. I don't know what his other card is. Yeah, that one was a little easier. It's possible that his other card makes that sequence bad for some reason, but just knowing about the white land, I think that that's a pretty profitable play. It looks like he's going to attack, so this signifies that he wants to cast something second main, but it does mean that the Domri Raid is going to survive for another turn because presumably the voice is going to jump in front, and sure enough it does.
Could be a Brimstone Volley here. If he goes
Volley's reasonable.
land Brimstone Volley and just deals with Domri Raid that way.
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. Ooh, just Cartel. I don't know how good that is. I guess it's good for defense because Cartel turns one blocker into two when you're blocking two creatures. By blocking, and then you sacrifice the other creature that's chumping, and you basically get two chumps for the price of one.
And here we go. Craig has 2 3/3 Voice of Resurgence tokens, the Elementals, an Avacyn's Pilgrim, Domri Raid at the top with 4 counters. So as you said, he can threaten to fight. Shihoi Yim has 2 Champion of the Parishes, one at a 5/5, the other at 2/2. The 2/2 is there at the top of the screen. Cartel Aristocrat, Doom Traveler, and a 2/2 zombie token. The former Zathrid Necromancer.
Yeah, the awkward thing about Cartel Aristocrat from Chihoi there for Craig is that it turns off his Boros Reckoner fight and kill 2 things sequence, which he was kind of relying on, something that he definitely had in his back pocket, waiting for a good play, a good turn to play it and help him stabilize. But with that off, it's going to be hard to kill multiple creatures, so he's actually in danger of being swarmed out here.
Well, he could Boros Reckoner, fight the Reckoner. Well, he chooses not to go that route at all.
Pluses and gets another mana elf. Not ideal, but at least you don't have to waste the draw step on it.
I was thinking Boros Reckoner fight with the Aristocrat.
So at least you're getting it dealt 2 damage.
Right, at least you get the 2-point trigger to then kill something else. And presumably Chihoi would sacrifice something to the Aristocrat to give it pro-white or red.
Actually, that works because or that doesn't work because of the targeting of the Domri Raid to the Cartel. You just give it pro-red, and then the Domri Raid can't target it anymore.
Yeah, that is true. So instead, Craig unloads some creatures, Boros Reckoner and an Avacyn's Pilgrim. Now those tokens are 5/5s.
But Cartel is really good at chumping. Cartel and Doom Traveler, for just the price of the front side of a Doom Traveler, he can prevent 10 damage this turn.
That's a nice fog right there.
Yeah, that is quite good. And that's the power of Cartel Aristocrat, especially on defense. Can't really imagine that Chihoi has another option available to him besides that. Maybe he wants to keep the front side of Doom Traveler around to surprise chump Thundermaw at some point. So he wants to sacrifice his chump and sacrifice his champion instead, which is reasonable because he's running low on cards. The champion isn't likely going to get much bigger than a 2/2 unless he draws exactly a Gather or I guess a Necromancer. But for those reasons, I think it's still slightly more profitable to block with the Doom Traveler.
Gather the townsfolk. What if I just take 10 here, go to 5?
Draw Gather,
It's
go off.
Rip a Gather the townsfolk.
It's a little risky. All right, looks like he is going with the default block here. Whoa, what? Did he not block with the Doom Traveler? That is awkward. So it looks like he just took 5 damage for no reason. We'll get that confirmed, but it looked like they were both marking life totals after Craig pointed to his unblocked elemental. Sure enough. Chihoy took a bunch of damage there. And now what? Facing down a Boros Reckoner at a low life total. Yeah, he only took 5 that turn. There was a shock land earlier that wasn't recorded. Chihoy now down to 8. And kind of in a rough spot.
I would have still taken the 10.
Okay.
Gotta gather. Gather the top decks.
So now he's got to find a way out of this. He still has to deal with this Domri raid. He still has to deal with, or he still has to, lose a guy a turn to block the elementals alone. Not to mention the Reckoner. His champion is kind of turned off.
By the Boros Reckoner.
Right. Whew. That is a laundry list of things that you have to fight through as Chihoy. Oh, he did draw gather. Ricky, you're so good.
You could have had 5 Mike Flores. I don't even know if that would be good enough. Like you said, that Boros Reckoner is a huge problem on the ground. Blanking that. But now he can play better defense, for one thing.
Yeah, the Giant Champion does threaten to block an elemental. So now you can block the other with the Cartel and chump the Reckoner with your extraneous guy that you're then sacrificing to the Cartel to give it protection and take no damage again for the price of that sacrificed creature, and you're eating an elemental if that's the attack he makes. So he actually doesn't have that good of an attack with a 7/7 champion, which he played on turn 1, and Craig had multiple opportunities to kill and chose not to. And now it might be his downfall, although Chihoy looks like he's getting aggressive with it, which is a bit scary.
That's a big Boros Reckoner trigger you're facing down.
It's not lethal, but it makes anything from Craig lethal.
Is it possible that he's got a tragic slip here and he's just gonna attack, sack something, slip? No,
he
lets him block.
Yeah, he drew gather this turn and didn't have a slip before, so I would be pretty confused if he pulled a slip out of his pocket.
That's a 7/7 champion of the parish.
So do you just knock him to 1? I mean, you have to, right?
Yeah. What else are you gonna do? And then there's a 4/4 champion and a 2/2 zombie and a.
Is he chumping the other champion?
It looks like he went to chump the champion with one of the Avacyn's Pilgrim, even though with a 7-point Boros Reckoner trigger,
it's theoretically
any
lethal.
1/1 is lethal.
Yeah. Chumping with a theoretically lethal creature is a little interesting. But it also, I guess, maybe that thing was attacking the Domri raid? No, because it's only for 4. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. I don't know if I can get behind that chump block.
Craig takes 3 from the zombie and the Martel Spirit token.
Chihoy looks dead. Right? It's still just Domri fight, kill you.
Sure, so maybe that's Craig's reasoning there for chump blocking with the 1/1. Because he still has the ability.
But that line is so much worse against a Doom Traveler, If he just plays a guy post-combat, if his last card in hand is just anything, any dude.
Fight!
But it turns out it was not,
So we're gonna sacrifice, most likely, to Cartel Aristocrat. Pro green.
I gotta feel like Chihoy should have just stayed on D a little. At least with that big champion and
Voice of Resurgence.
For value. Probably should have played that first if you're gonna play it, but doesn't really matter.
But Craig's in a spot here. He's
Lethal.
just gonna attack.
Check. We call this check. Chihoy says, no, it's mate, dude. And the match goes to Craig Harkins, staying alive in this monster tournament.
Craig Harkins goes to 8-1. That was an exciting match.
That was.